if you took that off, and to get everybody in McLeod County to be part of cleaning up the water in McLeod County, if you took the buffer strips on the county ditches of the 16.5 feet, and took that off the tax basis, just meander it. Let the property owner keep ownership of that property. And the same as the river, I think on a buffer strip on the river is what, 50 feet? Am I right, Ron?
That's a state rule, but yeah,
Okay.
fall,
Or whatever,
yeah, 50.
you know. And I guess I brought it up to Roger once, and we kind of shuffled the idea around and stuff, but I don't think we ever came to finding out exactly how much that would affect the tax base in McLeod County. But it might be a way, and I'm not saying that it could be, but it might be a way to get everybody involved. Not just the property owners on the ditch or river systems, but even the people in our communities. I don't know, you know, you hear so much about clean water, and I was watching even a program here the other day, on the Clean Water Act, actually Ron Sharon. There was one comment that came out that if we don't, as adults, if we don't, as elected officials, start doing something, we need to do this for our future. And how, you know, you're gonna have to come up and you're gonna have to stand your ground, and maybe you won't be there very long. But I think somewhere, somebody's gotta come up, and we gotta do something. And I don't know if that's even a way to do it. I don't know, it's just an idea I had. I don't know how much effect that would have on everybody. But one way or another, it's somehow, it's still gonna be put on the taxpayers, no matter what. And even city taxpayers are gonna end up paying for it. So would it be worth the time, maybe have Roger and Cindy figure out how much would this cost? If you took that and meandered it, and let the owner keep ownership, and no taxes on it anymore. He could maybe farm grasses on it and stuff like that on the buffer strips.
Like what you were saying.
Just proposed in Wright County, they wanna do it, they're thinking of taking off the tax roll and seeing if that's enough incentive. We wanna try different things, and I think, at our last board meeting, we talked about that with the county, and the auditor has to be okay with it, and that has to go down to the county commissioners, and they have to stand strong, like you said, and I think a couple counties down south have tried that, and it's worked, but it comes back to reassessing all your ditches, and that's, obviously, you guys kinda started monkeying with that, and so has Wright County, and it's a mess.
Well, I know like Sibley County, I mean, they're doing a lot of determination
Yeah.
of their ditches and stuff. And I asked some of the commissioners, how's that going there? And, you know, at first, when you start, you can always probably figure out it's not gonna be good meetings. But they have found out that now, that the word is out there and people are seeing the benefits, that they're coming to the board asking them to redetermine some of their ditches. So,
I mean, some
You
of
know.
these programs, sort of interrupting, some of these programs are through the federal, really, I mean, through our soil district office down in Blanco. Or like the CRP land.
Farm Service Agency,
Yeah.
FSA, yeah.
Some of these programs are there, but you go down there and you have, I don't know, if it's just me or not, but I can go down there and get run around, you haven't got enough time, or it's this and this and this, not making it so difficult. I've got 3 farmers right in my neighborhood. Every one of them would like to get into some program to get some income, because we're still paying taxes on it. We have to keep the weeds down. some income to pay for this cost and set this land aside, let it go in grasses and that. Well, there's a farm on County 14, right west of the River Bridge. It's a 2.5 or 3 acre piece of land. Beautiful corn this year. First year in 5 years you've seen any crop. What is it now?
Like,
Underwater. And every year it erodes more into the river.
well, it's that farming that marginal land, we was a big article in the paper this spring about farming marginal land and how they get insurance on that. And like I said, I bugged my dad, I said, Dad, you don't do this deal, we're not in the farm program, okay, making sure, but farm marginal land,
We
that's
could
just,
take somehow.
there's programs for it,
Through
but
the
there's,
programs.
but you have to, I don't work with the FSA, I work with them, but I'm not part of them, but
Well,
they're very squeaky
right
clean,
there, you're answering one of the
there's a
questions.
draw
I don't
line.
work with this, I don't work with this.
but there's a
We all
line of
have to
sand
work
you gotta
together.
follow with their programs, I don't make them up, it's federal, just saying, they're pretty drawn line in the sand, you qualify or you don't, there's no messing around with them, and I appreciate that, because then I don't have to guess, you don't guess, you do or you don't, that's,
I
so.
mean, they had a big program that came out in the national magazine, Farm Journal, Successful Farmer, the Farmer magazine, says you could water bank ponds that you created, you could water bank them. Roger, can you tell me anything about it? No, but it was in the national magazine. There's gotta be a program someplace that the federal government has created or
Go down and see Clayton and, those guys, and
to do these things, which helps us clean this water out. I mean, like I said, I put in, or they crossed my land with a 24-inch pipe. There was close to 300 acres of land that got drained good last fall. Now this land was pasture land for years, maybe they get a crop every 3rd year or something like that. But this is a piece of property that would have fit perfectly into some of these programs. Instead of going out south of Biskie, sitting on top of hills, most beautiful farmland there was, Cousins Forever buys it, digs holes and makes ponds. Where you got this? I mean, this is where we have to work these programs. I've got this whole river bottom. Mine is set aside. Am I getting paid for it? Not all of it, but some of it. I try to ask for help. So far, I haven't got a dime help out of it. And I think that's what I talked to you about.
let's take a
No, I
drive
showed
down to
you the
Glencoe,
pond.
I'll come
I
with you,
showed you the
we'll
pond.
bug them boys,
It worked.
I'm ready, let's go for a drive then.
But I mean, this is where we have to sit down with these gentlemen here, the farmers, the city people, the county government, everybody. We have to take it easy and just work out some program. Instead of,
Good luck working with the
we
federal.
gotta create another tax district. I mean, everybody's against tax districts. And this is what Renville County is, you know, they got every inch tiled out there. It used to be a lot of ponds out there.
There's more tile than people down there, that's just the way it is.
Where does the soil and water districts come into play?
They're out of Glencoe, well, the one here is out of Glencoe, they run your tree program, they work with NRCS, FSA. They do, I mean, like, Wright County has 7, 8 staff, Glencoe has 1, McLeod has 1.5, different counties, it all depends, what the need is, and some counties, some are tied to the county board, like Wright County gets some funding from the county board. You go up to Benton County, they've kinda made their board a little mad, so their soil and water is shrinking a little bit versus, it's all about relationship with your county board and what your programs and demand and all that stuff.
One of the programs the Soil Water Conservation District has the state cost share program, and they have cost shared with the city of Hutch on some private property on just above the dam down here.
What do you think of that 250,000, and then we, between our HRA and our EDA, we raise that much in Hutchinson this every year? I mean, you look at this map, and the property that would be available, really won't be that much.
Per person?
Yeah.
No.
That's what the question I'd ask, when you talk about support, do you guys see the support fall short before it even gets to a comprehensive water plan that you could get out there with the stakeholders, say, here's how we could improve our whole watershed district, here's our plan, here's our projects we can design. Does it fall short before then, or does it fall short once you design this program and then you look at the costs associated with that, and then pretty soon there's no more support there? You know, where along the continuum does the support fall short, you know, the people you guys have worked with? Is there any one spot that support falls short?
Your plan's gonna come after you're established.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have a plan in front. You're gonna have ideas and, you know, projects in mind, but the public hearing process is gonna be the one to get over. Once you get enough people, signatures for a petition to create the public hearing process, that's gonna be your first stumbling block, is to see how many pros, how many cons there are at that process. I was at the Middle Fork Crow River public hearing when they had it, 6 years ago. It was probably almost 7 years ago. There were over 100 people in the room, and there was probably a third of them that got up to speak. And I would say the majority of them were in favor, but those that were opposed to it were very vocal. But some of them have come around and are now using the watershed district to help them out, doing things out on the landscape.
Another thing that, maybe let's throw it out there, that we tend to see a lot of controversy over is with established districts when they amend their plan to establish a water management district. So that's now another layer on top of, you know, the general as well as the ad valorem for various. This is another where you kind of break out sections, or maybe it's project specific or resource specific, where you can assess for that specific area. Some of the problems that have come out is that, you know, a lot of that funding mechanism and maybe the need for that isn't well shared with the general public, and there's misgivings as to what's going on. So the more information you can get out there, the better. But in most cases, what we see with public hearings is the people that are for or pro tend not to show up as much as the people that are against. And then that's what you hear, you know. So it's not necessarily just because you have 100 people against establishment of a watershed district that the board's gonna move forward with denying the petition, but you certainly wanna have support from those local units of government.
And that's one of the kind of reasons I ask, is tradition, that is how meetings goes, is the people that are in opposition that show up. And I know you're not gonna have a final full-blown plan for the petition process, but I've often, at least in my experience with working in government, a lot of times if you can have your conceptual ideas put down on paper or something as you go through a petition process, where you can engage those people with, here's our thoughts of projects we'd like to work on, here are some funding opportunities that we could have. That helps mitigate some of those namesayers, or it helps at least the petition process sometimes to go a little bit more smoothly. You're still gonna have opposition, but I think getting more of that information, more transparency out there, and what you're looking to try to accomplish.
That's why I think,
helps that process.
I think you're in decent shape, because we're the ones that have been getting yelled at lately, because we've had some PMDL meetings, and because we've done a total maximum daily load study on this whole South Fork region pretty much, and we've set up there, we've actually had a lot of good and a lot of bad, from either, you know, from everybody. We have one in the North Fork too. There's support out there, but it's also the same thing. So we've already had these type of meetings on water quality projects, water quality for the whole area, and now we're starting that new process, you know, so we're gonna hear both. I think a lot of the base work in these watersheds have been done already on both the North and South Forks. You're gonna have some basics to go from. We have a list of projects, whether it's said basins, your local soil and water districts have projects, we work with them. So there's already a good list of different kind of projects and support or not support. So that's probably one of the pluses of probably having, if you're gonna form one, you're gonna have an outlook already, I think anyways.
I think the meeting we had here in Hutchinson, on the Crow, when we first started with that, every year we'd have a kind of an open house. And there really wasn't a long ways to working on different projects. I mean, we had a lot of farmers that came into these trying to see what we're doing with the Crow River. And I thought maybe we had something going here, but you know, after you do it 2 or 3 times, nothing being really accomplished except the cleanup. I mean, we cleaned up the river in town
sweat, and it's still not done.
And it's upriver, the same thing. I mean, there's tons and tons of stuff over the years been dumped in the river. It's an easy dumping spot. And,
It's funny, once people know you have, so I'll just people, once people find out you have money, then they start coming to the table more often too. We see that more once we get more grants. We just got a loan from MPCA for doing septic systems. Why, I call from the same couple times, what do you think about that? You guys seem to have a lot of money, what's going on? You know, and we got, so as soon as you get money, people start bugging in, and good or bad. Most times, watershed districts like Mill Fork, like you said, we've seen some of them negatives turn positive because all of a sudden, well, I got money, you can help me do this now. So that changes the idea pretty quick too.
Roger, how many, can you just give me a figure off the top of your head? How many places got help with, through your office, on redoing septic tanks along the river and different projects?
We have loaned out probably $750,000 over the years throughout the county.
And you had to be in such
That'll be all over the county.
but on the river itself, or?
On the river itself, that'd be a little tougher. I know Buffalo Creek has an incentive now where they will actually give $500 to the landowner when they upgrade a failing septic system. But it has to be, you know, on the river
Or within that
within
1,100 feet of it? And you had several big dairy setups that were taken care of too on the same program, wasn't it?
For some of the runoff, yes. We put in some runoff control structures.
That's a loan program. They've also gotten clean water funding from us. They submitted another application this year to help fund, probably each year it's been like maybe 10 eminent health, red septics, family septics and it's specifically for low-income households. And it's a 60% cost share, 40% from the landowner, and it's, you roll it on their taxes, is that how you get annual tax payment?
Well, that's how we do the loan.
Well, whatever.
It comes back on,
Yeah,
The low income. Are you talking grant?
yeah. So anyway, 10 might not sound like much, but 3 years in a row, this is their third application.
We just got approved for $21,000.
you know, you're working on the Visky project.
Yeah, that's through us too. 20-some households there.
So we only have about 10 minutes left, so maybe really what are the next steps?
Well, I just wanted to just mention that, creating a new local unit of government is a difficult step. But it's the boldness of the local leaders that are gonna make it happen. Because locally led conservation efforts are gonna be effective much more than the state or the federal government. The state and federal government are there to offer grant assistance to them, but it's gotta be locally led and the priorities gotta be set up locally. And that's what a watershed district will do. That's what a strong, good county water plan can do with staff. Can set the local priorities and say what they wanna do. I guess it would be up to you and your neighbors here, the neighboring counties, to say, do we wanna control our own destiny on the Crow River? And if we do, one option is to take that bold step and create another local unit of government. And nobody wants more taxes. Nobody wants another bureaucracy. But wouldn't you rather have it led locally so that people can talk to the board of managers and the people locally than to have policy set by federal government or the state government? And that's what it gets down to. But it's hard work. Travis said it sometimes takes years, to establish this. But that's what you're really talking about today is how do you want to handle that? You can do it through county government, or you can, but county government has 7 or 8 main purposes. You got highway departments, you've got human services, you have public safety. They're split into so many ways that they have to focus their efforts that their board meetings have lots of things on them. One thing about a watershed district or a different type of unit that only focuses on water quantity and quality, they can get after that. They can work on that stuff. But again, it's gotta be a bold move by the local leadership, because the state and the federal government aren't gonna come in and say, here's the answer. The answer's gotta come from right here and your neighbors.
And the other advantage with that is those dollars that are collected are really dedicated to those sources too, which
Yeah.
should be a good.
But still, aren't your watershed districts still under the county government?
The
Like
water,
Buffalo Creek, isn't that under?
it's
Don't you have
the watershed board is appointed by the county commissioners in the various counties. But that board is an independent unit of government. The county commissioners only appoint the board, and then that's pretty much it after that.
Yeah, and they serve 3-year terms.
And so the board of managers on a rotating basis get reappointed or replaced by county commissioners. But they're not part of the structure of county government. They're actually their own unit of government. They have their own audits. They have their own bylaws. They have their own water plan.
Rules and regulations.
Yeah, rules,
A lot of paperwork.
Special unit of
in place.
government is
Yeah.
what it comes down to, so.
It's kind of like a township government underneath the county.
Kind of, yeah. In a way.
cases, they have permit authority.
Yeah, they have a lot of authority, actually. I mean, if you think about it, there's a lot of. And one other thing we didn't really talk about a lot, but I mean, these special units of government, watershed districts, do provide a lot of educational experience to your residents. There's a lot of education that goes on through these local units of government, so.
Who leads the charge?
That's a pretty big question. I mean, that's something that's hard to get our hands around. We definitely don't have the time to nail that down now. I think that the bigger question that we've come here for today is this something we continue to carry forward? Do we want to continue to foster these discussions at the county level? County commissioners have relationships with neighboring county commissioners, those types of things. Do we start to just at least foster some of these ideas to say, you know, this is a concept that's worth talking about. Let's start to build on it and start to build them relationships, at least open those communication lines up to start to move it forward. And at least you don't know if there's interest beyond our boundaries unless you start asking the question, so.
That just starts reaching out to others. The board's aspect first, just talk to the other commissioners and see the interest in fruit.
Talked with a few others, and I think there is truly commitment to, having discussion and exploring different options. As you well know, there have been several different groups that have come to the board for levy over it. And I think that might be a challenging spot, but I think that, if we start out with what is the purpose, and the purpose is to create better waterways, and I think there is the commitment for that, so if we start with that discussion and see where that leads us, maybe the opportunities further down the road to get the funding, the financing.
And as I worked on the list too, when is the best time? It's gonna take a long time, so as far as elections playing into this and everything, we might be worried about the next election, so, before this thing starts to come to fruition, so.
There's always another election, so.
Oh, yeah.
Get started.
Does the Mississippi River have any authority on our drainage at all?
There's no overriding authority over that drainage, no.
We just get calls like the Minneapolis St. Paul water plants, they wanna give us money and work out here, cause they're Dayton down to their intake's about 20 miles to Minneapolis, and that's my grad project. I'm working with them to try to create a source water plan, and they're just saying we'd like to help with the Crow with some funding to clean up these stream banks, because we're having to clean the water that comes through here, and it's getting worse and worse, so. They don't have any authority like to tell you, but they're concerned about our area, but,
Like Lake Pepin,
yeah.
a couple of years ago,
Thank you all very much for coming, it's been helpful. We'll continue to be in touch. Got any questions, Bowser, DNR? I know where to find you.